Umai's on the Chaos Dwarves against Bjorn on Grand Cathay. Now, I could be, editing the previous replay I made for a different game, featuring, I think, greenskins or something. Or I could always just cast an Umai's replay on as him on Chaos Dwarves against Grand Cathay. Sounds like a much better idea. Now, the funny thing is, I already casted this replay, but I wasn't satisfied with it because I thought I hyper-focused too much on one thing, which I kind of have a problem with sometimes. So I didn't think it was entertaining enough, or rather a good cast. So here we are again, and let's get right into it. We'll just forget all about that replay. We have a Sorcerer Prophet of Fire with Cascading, Flame, Storm, and Fireball, along with his item, I believe. Yeah, Chalice of Blood and Darkness, which you guys already know how I feel about, or maybe you don't. But I streamed Friday Fight Night, and I was talking about it, and it's kind of frustrating, this item sometimes. Like, sometimes you really need it, and it'll help a lot, especially if the enemy lord isn't as snipeable. So you'll be able to get a lot of health replenishment from it. But then you go up against a faction that has a snipeable lord, but maybe you won't have the chance to snipe them, so you bring this item, and you know how it is. Sometimes it just bites you in the butt bringing this item, but when it works, it's great because that's a really big fat hill. So, worth bringing. The off chance, I guess. Though it is some gold you could spend on other units, on other things. Anyways, Infernal Engineer, the ability as well for the rest of the army. Oh, and he's going to be on his Bell Taurus mount, of course. I am going to probably be consistently mixing up Great Taurus and Bell Taurus. That's how I was doing in the other replay as well, and it's probably not going to stop here. But nonetheless, we have two other flying units, one being the Bell Taurus and Great Taurus as well. So a Chaos Dwarf Goon Squad we got for Chaos Dwarf side. For the front line, we have mostly Dwarf Warriors with 2 Goblin Laborers and some Hobgoblin Sneaky Gets, 1 in the main formation backline and 2 on both flanks. We also have 2 Great Weapon variant of the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, just to chop through Jade Warriors and other units that may get in the way that are heavily armored. For his hero, no surprise, we have Greasus, one of Umai's clearly favorite Chaos Dwarf units. He's great. He's just a big disruption unit, and Umai's uses him well, from what I've seen. For Bjorn, on the Grand Cathay side, we're going to have Zhao Ming with Dragon's Breath, no surprise, and Plague of Rust, which is great, obviously, against the heavily armored Daoizar. For the rest, we're going to have his Warding Iron ability for that ward save, and the Burning Van Braces, that fat heal, aka just like Orion's ability for the later game. For the rest of the army, we're going to have Jade Warriors, no surprise. A bunch of Peasant Spearmen, no surprise. The ROR Onyx Crowmen, the Emperor Scrowmen, with their big old bomb ability, the Nangal Grenades, which do tremendous damage, and 33% of it being armor piercing. And from what I hear, everybody complain about Crowmen are just overpowered, so it makes sense that they brought. For the rest, we have some Jade Crossbowmen, 2 being with shields, I believe, or 1 being with shields. Yeah, 1 being with shields, actually. 2 without shields, 1 being the ROR Grace of Kuai. Hardly ever see this unit, but they're very cool. Magic attacks, magic ammunition, rather. And really, really good AP missiles at 14 per volley, so with 2 shots per volley, so it's really, really nice. And then they have the Mark of Yin, which I I've never seen used. But basically, it's kind of like the Othar, not the Othar's Raiders. Is it the Othar's Raiders? Yeah, the Othar's Raiders for the Dwarven side, the ROR Throwing Axis. Yeah, kind of like that. Very good. Helps take down big targets. We have a Grand Cannon, and then we have 2 Jade Lancers. Let's get right into it. So, we're just going to have a little bit of moving up and back and forth, or moving from the Grand Cathayan side, just to get in range to start shooting shots at the Great Taurus, and, you know, keep Umais on his feet, on his tippy toes. So, any of those cannons going to hit? Nope, I don't think so. Yeah, none of them hit. So, but, you know, it makes sure that Umais is always watching. So otherwise, it'll just be free damage for Grand Cathay, and it'll help later game. Onyx Roman are moving up a little bit, maybe a little too close, but at the same time, the Chaos Dwarf player doesn't have any missiles to punish it. So what he does have, though, is Fireball. He's going to shoot a Fireball straight into that Croman unit, the Arwar Croman unit, knock off 5 models. Very nice. That's less bombs for them to drop. I think that is how that works. Per unit, I'm guessing. I don't know. It's an ability, so it's not the same way that Pterodon Bolas throw, I believe. Anyways, the Grand Cannon now switching over to the Chaos Dwarf Warriors is going to knock off a model, couple models actually. Very nice. I can count there for a second. We're just gonna have the Jade Warrior crossbowman shoot in at Gordas, just, you know, keep him back. We don't need no Hobgoblin running through our front line. Thank you very much. The great weapons are going to come under tremendous fire from that ROR crossbowman unit and from the cannon. And not only that, Zhao Ming is coming for him. Going to hit a few models as well. The Crowmen are going to drop their bombs down on top of the Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Not do a lot of damage because it was just a little bit off center, but still do some very nice damage. We have Gordas slipping through the front line, going to try to get on top of that cannon, I believe. Goblins have slipped through as well. They're going to get on top of the crossbowmen, while the Sneaky Gits have gotten on top of the Peasant Spearmen, which is going to be a great trade for them. The Beltaurus gets a very nice breath attack on top of the Jade Warriors, do a little bit of damage. Grace Kuai Ying is shooting up at the Sorcerer Prophet, doing some very good damage, very appropriate for them. A very good position. And he's going to be hit with the Mark of Yin as well, helping that as well. He's taking quite a bit of damage very fast, also being surrounded by the Crowmen. They're going to back off and pull back, however, and a Flame Storm is thrown on top of the Kuai Yin, doing very good damage. That's a very nice vortex. It is not barely moving at all. Also even hitting the Jade Warriors. That's a really good cast right there for the Umais. Really good for him. But the Sorcerer Prophet is taking a tremendous amount of damage. He needs to pull back. He's going to pull back. These Crowmen are terrified. Very good. The flanks are collapsing for the Chaos Dwarf side, as in they are able to get on top of the Chaos on the cannon. 2 volleys have been thrown in from the Sneaky Gits and doing pretty good damage, knocking off 1 model of Grand Cannon. Those are the Grand Cannon models. Very nice, but they are going to get charged by Jade Lancers. Not doing a whole lot of damage, but it is going to add up. Yep, there goes practically a third of it. Now they're going down to half their HP now. Yeah, those Sneaky Gits are going to have a terrible time. Gordas is making his way to the crossbow units, getting in, disrupting them, stopping them from shooting into the Chaos Dwarf Warriors and whatnot. The other Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits, I believe, got attacked by the other Jade Lancers and are routed off. And the Jade Lancers come back after finishing them off and rear charge the great weapons on that flank. After the other Jade Lancers dispatch the flank, behind, or rather the rear Sneaky Gits, they come in and try to help with the other Chaos Dwarf Warriors, trying to keep these crossbows and Grand Cannons online. Over here on the other side, Zhao Ming has gotten his butt beat by the Beltaurus and the Great Taurus duo teaming together. However, the Sorcerer Prophet has taken tremendous amounts of damage in return. He's he took a lot of damage from the Crowmen and from the shots of the Grace of Kuai Ying. Now he's unfortunately routing for the Chaos Dwarven side, but Zhao Ming is about to probably see his doom here, thanks to the 2 flying cows, as he gets tackled back and forth. some horns in some very unpleasant places. These our crowmen have luckily stayed in the game and are going to be able to rout off completely, send off the Chaos Sorcerer Prophet. Yep, and Zhao Ming falls to the ground. The great iron dragon has fallen to 2 flying cows. Very unfortunate for him. Gordas over here knocks off a model from the Grand Cannon, shutting them off pretty completely. He's going straight for the models. Very, very nice. Yeah, he destroyed both models. Usually when I see Hero Lord units, they always end up like not going for the models. They just go for the crew, which is, good in its own way. But I'd rather have the, models destroyed so the crew can't come back and get on top of them. Another breath attack from the Bell Taurus on top of these crossbowmen, do a little bit of damage. Nice. It's gonna actually might cause them to rout. They are wavering and they are routed now from both the Kratos Dwarf Warriors and from the Bell Taurus jumping on top of them. The Mark of Yin thrown on top of the Bell Taurus, and there's nothing really to punish to utilize that well. The Jade Warriors, the crossbowmen over here are terrified. These are routing. The Grand Cannon is routing. The Grace of Yin are out a little too far to punish this, or make use of it rather. And Gordas is getting on top of the Jade Warrior crossbowmen to stop them from shooting, to make sure they don't get any use out of that mark. Very nice play from Umais. That Gordas is a real annoying bastard. We are going to have the RR Crowmen come back again. These guys are being really, really annoying, and no, to be fair, so are the Flying Cows. They just have proven to be a very, very persistent unit, and one of the stable units for the Gargantian side. Jade Lancer is going to charge in. They're going to try to stop this Bell Taurus, try to keep them in place for the Jade Warrior crossbowmen to pull back and start shooting in at them. Hopefully the Gargantian player can. They use these Jade Lancers to come in as well to try to get rid of the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and it's helping, but it's not going to be enough. At least maybe. I mean, they are wavering. They might be able to rout here and there eventually, but the Bell Taurus unfortunately escapes from that and are going to get on top of the Jade Warrior crossbowmen and do quite a bit of damage. Ouch, that hurts. Maybe not even a lot of damage, but just a lot of disruption. These other Jade Warriors these crossbowmen are able to shoot in, but not before Gordas gets back there with his little slippery proc, making him faster and giving him a higher melee defense, so he doesn't take that much damage in melee combat, thanks to the melee defense buff. The Great Taurus gets on top of these Jade Warriors, Jade Lancers, stopping them in their tracks, giving the Great Weapons time to catch up to them, and now they are terrified. Yeah, this terror on the Great Taurus and Bell Taurus are really, really major late game. They are terrifying so many of the Jade Warriors and Jade units that are really crucial for this late game. But yeah, once these crossbows are constantly being shut down, which means that there's nothing to contest the Bell or Great Tauruses. There's nothing that can stop them in their tracks. The Jade Lancers are trying, but it's not working. The Bell Taurus gets a nice breath attack down on the Jade Lancers. We're not huge breath attack, but it still does a pretty decent chunk of damage for going on a cav unit. And for those you don't know, breath weapons don't do all that great against lower model entity or units, just because it's just better against the infantry units, blobbed up large amounts of models. But it still does decent damage. It can knock off a few models, which is very crucial for that low model count unit. Whenever you only have 30 models to a unit, and you're losing 3 or 4 to a breath attack, or maybe 5 to a breath attack, that's 5 models that are really affecting the output of their strength late game. Bell Taurus is just cleaning up some peasant spearmen. Grace of had come back, but they only have 19 models. They're going to turn around and try to shoot at the Bell Taurus, even throw their mark on them possibly. Yeah, but if they're going to get a model, yeah, they get one volley off before it gets on top of them, and it does a little bit of damage, but yeah, if they had more time to shoot, they could have put in a lot more damage. It's just really unfortunate for them. And the Great Taurus are seeing off the Jade Lancers, and that'll spell end. Bjorn will forfeit there. Yeah, with all this infantry left, Still for the Chaos Dwarf side, and just infantry left for the Grand Cathay. They're not going to have anything to deal with the Taurus, the Tauruses, Taurusi, and Gordas. There's just nothing they could do there, unfortunately. All of their options have been shut down. It was really unfortunate for Zhao Ming to fall so early on, but at the same time, the source of profit was also seen off. So it's a really rough trade there because Zhao Ming, one, costs a lot more, two, than the source of profit, I believe. Maybe not a whole lot more, but still a bit more. The dragons are fairly expensive. Maybe actually maybe I'm biting my tongue. Maybe I'm wrong there. I can't think, but I believe the dragons still cost a little bit more, even with the Taurus. But even then, the cost isn't even the matter. Isn't even the point there. Which is why I probably should have lived with that. The point is that Zhao Ming was probably the only thing that could have dealt with those Taurus high, aside from the crossbows. And when you only have two crossbows, it's very, very easy to just pick them apart, or disrupt them to stop them from shooting. Because you have Gordas on top of one crossbow, and then you get a goblin or a sneaky git on top of the other one. Then what? You have no shooting. You have nothing to shoot down those Taurus. It just really, really sucks there for the Grand Cathay inside. And Zhao Ming just took an unfortunate, really bad beating there from the two Taurus. I just did not expect that at all. I mean, I didn't expect the Chaos Dwarf Goon Squad in general, because it's just not what I picture in my mind for the Chaos Dwarves. Though, to be fair, no surprise, I don't see the Chaos Dwarf and Grand Cathay Ross matchup often. So, though I don't know, maybe the Goon Squad is utilized in other matchups as well. Nonetheless, it was just really, really rough when Zhao Ming fell. And even if the Source of Profit left, that meant that they still had three single entity models that were able to cause major disruption with little to no units to punish them. And even if the crows weren't in really bad state after that fight, they wouldn't have been able to do a whole lot. I mean, they would have helped clean up the infantry, but they would have taken so much damage from that engagement. Or either way, like even if, well, I guess let's say hypothetically they didn't engage the Sorcerer Prophet as much as they did. Who's to know whether or not the Sorcerer Prophet would have been routed off in that case? So, but if they did get routed off in that case, and the Crowmen were still relatively healthy, maybe half HP or a third left, they could have maybe helped with the infantry side. But it's hard to say really. I wasn't paying too much attention like I was in my first replay in that fight, so I think maybe the Crowmen were really crucial in that fight, and same with the crossbows. I mean, let's see right off the bat what the values are like. For the Sorcerer Prophet, 1900 value. Surprisingly decent for how long they were in the game. They had that fireball, they had that flame storm, they had another fireball, I believe, against the Crowmen to try to get them out, try to get the Sorcerer Prophet out. So, decent job. And they were fighting Zhao Ming and a bunch of Crowmen, so yeah, they did well. Surprise. Expecting. I can't think of a word right now. Surprisingly, I guess I'll just go with that one for the lack of a better word. Taurus did fantastic. 2016. Why was I going to say that? 2000 value for the Taurus. Very, very nice. Even picking up a few chevrons. 1000 value on the Great Taurus as well. They were just hand in hand bullying Zhao Ming into the ground. The Iron Dragon did not like it. The Iron Dragon falling to flying cows is probably one of the most comedic things, rather ideas. Here we are, the son of an immortal, some immortal dragons, rather. Immortal dragons being taken out by some flying, mooing fire cows. Or bulls, rather. Whichever. Gordas, 800 value, but again, doesn't look like a lot. It's still 800 value, which is still good. Doesn't look like a tremendous amount, like some people would expect, like, oh my god, this hero got 3,000 value. The value just isn't in the gold value. It's in what you're stopping your enemy from doing, which is shooting, which is shutting down their artillery piece, etc. But yeah, for the rest of the infantry, they did okay. 227 on these sneaky gets, 600 value. All right, nice. They must have been the ones that got on top of maybe some of the crosswomen. I'm not entirely sure. Or no, you know, I think it was that one that just got face to face with a bunch of peasant spearmen, which they would have destroyed. For the Grand Canadian side, only 1100 value for Zhao Ming. That's really rough. 900 value for the ROR. Croman. 1,000 value for these Tree Lancers. 1,000 for these. Very nice. 1,500 value, yeah, for the Greasus. They did really well. I'm pretty sure that pays for themselves. Definitely. Maybe I'm correct, but I feel like 1,500 or 1,400 would probably be where their price is. Again, I don't really see them used, so and typically ROR AP missile units can be fairly expensive. So yeah, they did well. They were shooting a lot of their shots into great weapon units, a great weapon unit, and into the short profit. So very good. Canada did okay. Everything else did just okay. But that was a good fight. That was a really close one. If it wasn't for a few factors, that could have gone either way. I know that sounds a bit silly, but a very few small factors, like say if say if that flamestorm didn't do so well, then those crossmen wouldn't have taken so much damage. If maybe a Bell Taurus wasn't able to land any attacks on Zhao Ming because, you know, the attack rates, the chances to attack aren't definite. Like, they aren't going to, just because a unit has like 90 melee attack doesn't mean it's going to hit all of its attacks. It could very possibly miss like 8 out of its 10 attacks, you know? So it's just really, it's really up in the air sometimes with these close games. But well played, double players, to Bjorn and Umais. Thanks for the replay, Umais, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.